Why hello there, my name is ImBrokeRU and I am here with a tutorial on forearm rotation. And this was requested by somebody who sent me a private message. You guys can also send me requests through that as well. So kind of the overview for this tutorial. The goal of this is to kind of set up an automatic system such that when I rotate the wrist in this direction, the forearm here will rotate and the percentage of that rotation along with it. And the main reason for that is just to kind of simulate what will happen in real life. If you were to rotate your wrist like this, you'll notice that the forearm here will also rotate. So what we're going to do as an overview is we're going to kind of create a new bone, divide into 3 parts, and use something called a wire parameter to wire the rotation of each bone here to a percentage of the rotation given by this bone. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go into animation. I'm going to go into bone tools. I'm going to go create a bone that's the same size as a forearm bone here. So I'm just going to my left view and create a bone. There we go. Okay, and we're going to align this end here. Make sure you have bone added on. Align this end to the forearm. Not rotation yet. Just the position. Align to the one end to the forearm, and one end here to the wrist. Okay, and we're going to delete the end bone here. Take our new bone and we're going to align it using rotation so that it's the exact same as a forearm bone here. Right, so let's make that a bit bigger so we can see what it is. Let's make it 2. Actually, 1 should be good enough. Go to perspective. Okay, then that's good. And then after that, we're going to split this bone into 3 equal sections. So I'm going to take refine tool. I'm just going to divide that into 3 parts. That's good enough. So now we have these 3 bones, and now our goal is to kind of use something called a wire parameter to wire the X rotation of this bone to the X rotation of the wrist. And to do that, since we already have this wrist bone under an IK controller, before I do that, I should link this to the forearm, because if I don't, you'll see that, whoops, this does not move with it. So I'm going to link this end here to the original forearm, and now if I move it, it'll move along with it. And something you should check is the hierarchy of these 3 bones. So they should be in the following order, one after each other. So this one here should be parent on all 3 of them. This one here should only be the parent of that, and this one here should just be by itself. So now we have that done. We need to find a way to somehow expose the X rotation of this, because we have a IK controller over this, which allows us to move the arm like so. And we cannot directly access the rotation of this bone. So what we need to do is do something called a expose transform helper, which is under the create tab, the helpers section, and it's called expose TM, expose transform. So I'm going to create that, and I'm going to align it to the forearm. Hold up. Forearm, there we go. And it doesn't matter where it needs to be. It doesn't matter where it is. It's really, all it does is to expose the X rotation of this bone here. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the modifier panel for this, and I'm going to select the bone to expose, which is the wrist. And it automatically chooses a kind of a reference node for it, called the local reference node, which has defaulted to this original forearm bone. Now immediately we notice a problem here. Let me just go back here. Our X value here is not 0. And if you think about it, if we're going to take a fraction of the X value here to use as automatic rotation, this will immediately rotate this. And we don't want that, since you're going to have to use these bones to kind of vertex weight the mesh later. So in order to put this at 0, we need to somehow find a way so that the forearm rotation of the forearm here, if I go into gimbal, I need to make this rotation values here identical to the rotation values of the wrist. And of course, you can't do that directly to the forearm. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a point helper right here. Create it. Somewhere far off in the scene. There we go. And we're going to align it to the forearm, just position. And then we're going to align the rotation to the wrist. So now, these two have the exact same rotation values. But of course, this one's different because I'm using a gimbal. And what gimbal does is it references to its parent. This does not have a parent. So if I go to local, if I go to world, these two will have the same rotation as seen here. And that's exactly what we want. So instead of using the forearm as a reference node here, we're going to change it to this point. And if you look down here, they're now all 0. Make sure you link this to the forearm, because what we're doing right now is kind of replacing this forearm with this point here to be used as a reference. So now if I just double check, everything should move as it is. Yep, I'm just going to link this here to this thing just to make it pretty. Right. So now all we need to do is to wire parameter these things to the rotation we just exposed, which indeed should be the X rotation. Let me just double check here. So right now 0, if I was to rotate this, it should change value. And indeed it did. So it's X rotation. Now we're going to open up the wire parameter dialog under animation, wire parameters, parameter wire dialog. We're going to select this bone here. We're going to click refresh, which sets our kind of the animation settings for this bone. Go under rotation, X rotation, and we'll select this thing here, press refresh here. Don't go under the object. This rotation and position here is the rotation position of the object itself. We need the exposed rotation, so we go under object and local Euler X. We're going to connect that and let's say use 0.2. So 20% of the rotation of this wrist. Press connect. What happened there? Okay, let me just disconnect this. Sometimes these bugs happen, I'm not sure why. Just delete everything here. Yeah, this is my first run through this. Excuse me for the errors. So I'm going to try to see what happened here. Right, so I refresh. There we go. So if I put 0.2, oh, I think I forgot to pull a multiplication sign there, that's why. Times 0.2, update. There we go. Now it's rotating. Now we'll do the same things for these two bones here. I'm going to refresh. I'm going to go under X rotation and I'm going to link it again. Times 0.2. And same thing with this. We're going to go under here. 0.2. Whoops. Times 0.2. Connect. And now if we rotate this thing here, you'll see that this entire arm now rotates with it. And that's pretty much what we want to achieve. So when you're rigging the mesh or vertex weighting, I don't know what the term is, when you're putting the mesh onto this bone, you will now rig each section of the forearm onto each of these bones. So that when you rotate this, you will have that each section of the forearm rotating along with these 3 bones. And this bone here inside will be completely not used, but you should include it in the skin modifier list anyways. But it will have 0 weighting on any vertex. So that's pretty much it for forearm rotations. Excuse me for that little error I had in the middle. I hope that doesn't matter too much. And I hope you guys learned something from this. I'll see you guys next time.